Welcome back to the bench, folks. I got the cylinder put on, measured my squish. I was right around 42 thousandths. I ended up sanding about 20 thousandths off the bottom of the cylinder to tighten that up a little bit, and that brought my timing numbers pretty close to where I wanted them. Maybe not perfect, but I think it's good enough. I'll throw them up on the screen for anybody that's interested. I'm not going to go through show how I got it. There's plenty of better folks out there with better videos showing how to measure your timing numbers. I did 3D print an adapter. I'll leave a link in the description for this blue timing wheel. Just put a bolt through it. One end of the adapter screws on the crank, the flywheel side of the crank, and the other end screws into the adapter. So we'll get started here, finishing up this assembly. I don't know how far I'll get. One thing I want to note is if you look at the piston, I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'll put some high-res pictures in here if you can't. There's a pin on the top there and on the top there. And if you look at the ring, there's a round cutout in the ring. So when that comes together, that round cutout will cradle that pin. So you want to make sure that you're lined up on those pins properly. So let's see if I can get this ring on here without snapping it. I'll get my screwdriver. Now it's stuck down in this other groove. There we go. And there's my pin. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Squeeze those together. They come right over that pin. And do the top one the same way. Make sure I got my grooves going the right way. This one, the pin should be over here on this side, and it is. Just kind of get one end in the groove and kind of work it around, spreading it as little as you have to get over the piston and down into that groove. So that one's good there, and that one's good there. See if I can get a picture of this just in case that video doesn't turn out. I don't know if this phone will take a good enough picture or not. That'll have to do. I'm not going to go get my macro lens for my other camera. So now I've got the rings on there. I'll grab some more of this Loctite 518. I'll put a generous bead down here to seal the cylinder down. The only concern I have without using a base gasket is it looks like the OEM has some bulges or something on it, or ridge or rib or something on it that actually looks like it goes down into the crankcase and might align the cylinder up on the crankcase better. Well, the base gasket that came with this kit definitely did not have that style, so I guess it doesn't matter for what I'm doing here. But that would be my only concern, is there's nothing really aligning the cylinder, oh, I'm making a mess, to the crankcase. I don't think I really need it on this thick, but just in case, I was messing with the cylinder. I did stone this down, but there's some machining marks, and Not awfully happy with how these case halves come together. Maybe I can get in there and clean some of that out of the center of the case. Okay, there's that. I do have a spring compressor here. I don't know if this is going to be too big. I have one of these things too. I'm not sure how well I'm going to like using that. So just align my spring or my rings on the pins. Wrap this around there. Squeeze that down. And make sure I get this. So this is the impulse port. And there's the intake side. So I should be able to just push this right down over those rings. Slide this up out of there. Oh, look at that. That's like almost like it was meant to go that way. Now, I've used these bolts so many times, I'm going to put some more Loctite on them. Putting the cylinder on and off to measure squish and measure timing and adjust the squish, I should say. It's not exactly an accurate process when you're just sanding down the flat bottom of the cylinder. So you kind of go for a little bit and then put it on and measure it. Go for a little bit and then put it on and measure it. So it's kind of time consuming. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's nothing to center the cylinder on the case. Like the 372 has the almost like a sleeve that goes down inside the case that aligns it. This one here does not, so this cylinder can move every which way. And as far as I know, there's not a good way to align everything. So kind of just give it a little wiggle jiggle and send it home, I guess. If anybody knows of a better way, go ahead and leave it down in the comments and let me know how I'm doing it wrong. I did put the other circlip in the piston. So give these a nice little torque. And there's my so I'm going to put some two-stroke oil in the cylinder to make sure everything's lubed up. It's going to smoke like a banshee when I first started up. It might help if I did it on camera. So these rings are dry. I should have lubed them up before I put the piston up in there. And just keep adding more in there. Make sure that all those rings get lubed up nicely. Okay, there's that. I should also mention that I ended up grinding the flywheel key to give myself a couple degree timing advance. I know I've seen a few people videos, people mention that these saws really benefit from a little bit of a timing advance. So I'm just oiling the crap out of everything here I can see just to pre-lube it. There we go. there's that. I'd really like to get the exhaust put on and see if I can vacuum and pressure test. I'm pretty sure I need to put the clutch and everything on in order for that sleeve that seals under there, and I'll also have to put the intake tube on, which I think I can do right now. I just have to find the clamp for it, which is in one of these bags. Okay, I'll try putting it on with the clamp. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of this anaerobic sealer on there. I don't know if it really needs it. But I'll put a little bit in there anyways. Just knowing that an air leak can be catastrophic for a chainsaw like this. So I'm going to slide that over there. That little rubber knob thing goes right straight down. That should go right straight up. Put the clamp over if it'll go. And then we'll tighten the clamp down. Hopefully this is the way it goes. I'm not exactly sure the orientation of the clamp or if it really matters. I think we just want to make sure that seam is lined up straight up and down. Alright, I think that's probably tight enough. There's that. So I have a gasket over here. I do not have a gasket over here. So what I do have is this gasket making material. And I will just make a blank off gasket. Grab my Sharpie. Poke some holes through that. Then I can bolt this on and plug off the exhaust for my vacuum and pressure test. So let me get this taken care of and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my gasket drilled out. I'm going to find the muffler bolts. Oh, that's right in bag number 1. So let's see if I can find bag number 1. There's bag number 1. And it's the 6mm long ones. Hold it onto the cylinder from looks thing. Those look awful short. Those must be for up here. I don't think those are the right ones. So these must be the M5 by 16. Right, those are M5, yes they are. So put those through there. Put that on my blank out gasket. Ooh, maybe these are going to be too long, I don't know. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Well, this one's going in still. Don't want to bottom it out and end up cracking the cylinder or something. Yeah, that's not... I'll keep going and see. I might see if I can find some shorter ones, because yeah, I don't like these. I'm going to find some shorter ones. These may work once I get the gasket and the heat shield and all that stuff in there, but right now these are going to be too long. The last thing I want to do is mess up the holes, mess up the threads. So I do have a spare parts box over here that should have some shorter screws in it. So I'll put these back in here for later. Break out my spare parts. Well, these look like M5s, they're gonna fit. Oh yeah. I'll probably fast forward through most of this because I don't think anybody really cares. Especially when I'm searching for bolts. Okay, there's that. That'll be good enough for testing for air leaks. Take care of my Loctite for now. Okay, let's see what we want to do next. Okay, got the impulse line here. That goes down over this. If I get on the camera, down over this little brass tube here. And I believe it goes something like that. Because this will come up through the case handle, which is right here. So this should slide down into here between these anti-vibe mounts. These wires come up through here. Actually, I believe these wires go through. There's a hole right here they go through. So I don't know if I'll be able to get those through here before I can put the handle on or not. We're going to find out. Okay, well, that's not going to work that way. So we'll get this started back down in here. Oops. Guess my camera's sitting a little too low. I don't know if you can see. Get these wires pushed up through here. Come on, get it. There we go. Get those started there. There's my pliers. Give these a little bit of a pull so I don't lose them back down the hole. So this should go in there. And it looks like this one here needs to go up that way. So those are going there. That one started there. So now I got to push the intake boot through the hole. That's holding me up. Yeah, let's grab a screwdriver and see if I can poke this through without tearing a hole in the boot. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. This is another one where a lot of people are using strings. Wrap a string around it. And get the impulse line. That's got to go down here through that hole. Again, you can't see what I'm doing. Guess I should have grabbed a hold of that before I started sliding the whole thing together. I can't get my finger in there to turn it so it comes back out. Alright, let's try it a different way. So I grab the tip of it, push it towards the hole. There. That's started through. See if I can get this car boot through the rest of the way. Does this need to push back some more? Maybe a little bit. Oh, there we go. She's starting to come through now. There she goes. Looks like I need to pull the impulse line through just a little more. Looks like it could go a little bit more. I don't want to rip a hole in it because I'm going to have to order another one. There it goes. And of course you can't see what I'm doing. So that's pulled through. Car boots on there. So now one of these bags is this little ring. Uh-oh. I wonder where that came out of. So this little ring has a couple of flats that go on either side. So that's supposed to help keep the tube from collapsing. And I believe this goes on next. Get the carburetor out. And I'll have to make a blank out gasket for that as well. So let me do that real quick. So I got me a blank out gasket. Which appears to be too wide. Well, let's see. Okay, so that's in. This is laying on the bench. Not sure exactly where that goes. We'll find a home for that later. Now I need to find the nuts for the carburetor. Check my parts list here. So they're in bag number 3. So let's take this in here. Find the proper nut driver. Not it. How about this one? Which is not going to be deep enough. You can see this already. Well, maybe it will be. If this ends up getting too long, I'll break it up into a couple separate videos because nobody wants to sit here and watch me monkey around putting a chainsaw together for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, that should be in there good and tight. Impulse line is on the carburetor. I gotta put in the decompression plug because I am not running a decompression valve. I am going to plug it. And before I do, I'm going to get a little bit of never sees to throw on there. Okay, what size does this take? That takes that one there. So we'll put a little never sees on here. And then we'll be washing it off our clothes and our hands for the next week. Because that's how this stuff works. I look at it and I get it all over. So that's a 13 millimeter. I will get a 13 millimeter deep well socket and finish that off. Torque to spec, as they say. Okay. So I think I'm going to need to get the sleeve for the that goes inside this seal. Let's see which one of these bags it's in. Oh, wait a minute. It's in this bag here. And so this goes right down over there into that seal, which fits nicely. I'm going to put just a little bit of that 518 inside this to kind of seal it to the shaft. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? Apparently I can't see what I'm doing either. Okay. Put the cap back on that before I lose it. Just a little bit of oil on the outside of this. There, hopefully that seals up a little bit. Now I gotta break out my vacuum tester and we'll give it a quick vacuum test. And I think this is where I'm going to call this one. We're getting pretty long here. So I think I'll stop here, and on the next episode I'll show doing the vacuum pressure test. Besides, this will give me a chance to test it and fix anything that's messed up, and then I can tell everybody how perfect it went. I didn't have to fix anything. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.